Indiana Jones. It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute, the podcast in which we celebrate and discuss the film Raiders of the Lost Ark 1 minute at a time. I'm Tom Taylor.
I'm Pete Mummert.
I'm straight up Marcus Brody.
And once again, we are joined by our friends from the Star Wars Minute podcast. Welcome back, guys.
Hey, this is Alex Robinson.
And this is Pete the Retailer.
Thank you guys for coming back. It's been an exciting and fun week.
It has been, hasn't it?
It has. We've learned a lot about deserts, eating cities, and sticks and things. And I shouldn't say eating in front of Eden. I feel bad. The poor guy. But minute 20 begins with Indy drawing the Staff of Ra on a chalkboard, and it ends with a drawing of the Ark in action. And I've always sort of like been, forced myself to accept it as a, movie logic moment that he takes this massive buckled Bible that he just happened to bring with him into the room, and he literally opens to the page that he wanted, having no idea that these guys were going to ask about it.
It's definitely established that he brought that in with him.
Yeah, I only just realized it this time.
He picks it up off of his desk in the classroom.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you think he schleps that around all the time?
I was trying to figure that out. And it's a Dutch Bible. It's not even English. And I'm curious if just exactly what the relevance of that is for his work or his faith.
He reads Dutch, but he didn't bother to learn Havitos.
I think the Bible kind of doesn't it sort of go between buckled and unbuckled with maps. Isn't there a little shim-shammy with the PA who should have set up the scene a little better?
Continuity issues.
Yeah, a little bit around the Bible, or I don't know. Maybe that's the wrath of God.
Yeah, I was going to say on our show we can just attribute things to the Force, but I guess here you could just wrath of God.
It's just the Old Testament God. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, it is a dream, so.
That's true. Yeah, it's still the Force.
And there's no books in the Star Wars universe, so Han Solo didn't know quite what that thing was or how it worked. So
There's a blaster in here. I can get rid of these guys. Nope. Words.
It also more or less opens right to the Ark, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's what always blew my mind. It's like, wait a minute. That thing is huge, and he didn't bring it there thinking, oh, I'll bring this because it has a picture of the Ark of the Covenant that these guys are going to ask me about. He just happened to have that there. He opened right to it.
Several seconds after he opens it, then he's like, oh yeah, this is it.
I think he just brought it with him because he was like, this is the heaviest book I have here. I can hit them with it and run.
Or if they're much taller than me, I could stand on it.
Me look real smart with big book.
I also have maps. Or rolled up something.
Yeah, what's in the maps? What's in the rolls?
Oh, those are more skeleton posters from his classroom. We noted before that he's just got a blank, completely unlabeled skeleton diagram. There's that serves zero purpose in his classroom.
Well, he does rob a lot of graves. Maybe he's just trying to educate people on what to expect when you open a grave. Don't be scared if you see this.
This is what happens when you die.
Or it's like the 30s equivalent of a blacklight poster or something. It's like,
all right.
He's like, if you drink a lot of hooch and stare at the poster for a while.
He has raves in his classroom after hours.
Was booze legal by this point?
Yes.
Yeah.
36? I'm guessing yes.
I think 33 they legalized.
33? Okay.
Let's see. I Googled prohibition, and apparently it's a bakery in my neighborhood.
Oh, so it's still going. Okay.
Until they serve alcohol?
Yeah, 1920 to 1933.
Oh, 33.
Okay.
So by now they'd have 3 years of drunkenly staring at skeleton posters under their belts. The big book. Oh, yeah. I like...
That's what they call it. The big book.
Well, it's like the best picture ever, too. I don't know why, but it is.
Well, this is another crossover. I don't know. Did you guys research the picture at all? This is a Ralph McQuarrie drawing.
Oh, get out of here.
For real? It looks like a storyboard.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah, Ralph McQuarrie drew this, and it even has a Dutch inscription on the bottom. If you look up the whole picture on the internet, it doesn't show up in the movie.
I didn't know Ralph McQuarrie was in the Bible.
He drew
Like
the
the
Bible.
book of he should
Although
be.
it makes so much sense in retrospect.
It does.
From a certain point of view.
I want to know: are the guys holding up the ark? There's 4 Hebrews, right, holding up the ark.
Actually, they're slaves.
Slave. Well, see well, this is what I was wondering on the picture. Did they? And he says, lightning, power of God, or whatever coming out.
Yeah.
Did those guys have their eyes closed?
Oh.
Are they wearing gloves? Pete, isn't there that one story in the Old Testament where the one guy touched the ark and God was like, nah, and killed him?
Yeah, you're not allowed to touch
immediately.
the ark. You can touch the posts though. You just can't touch the ark itself.
Yeah, well, the posts are just like wooden sticks that they shove in there, right?
Right. So
Is that true? You can touch the post, but you can't touch the ark.
Yeah.
It's all about technicality.
It's
Yeah.
exactly.
But is that actually in the Bible that the ark? I always
you can't
I got
touch-
almost reinterested in Christianity after this movie. It's like, hey,
or Judaism.
well,
Oh,
I was
straight
already
up,
in.
Pete. Who is the guy? There is a guy who gets too close to the ark and touches the ark, and God smites him.
Yeah, there's a guy that's trying to be nice, and they're carrying the ark, and it's about to fall, and a guy reaches out to grab it, and steady it, and God's like, nope, and that guy dies.
It's just like nope.
That's what you get for trying to help.
And he didn't get the note about the posts.
Yeah,
The Post-it notes.
that's how they were invented.
I'm trying to look at a close up here of the guys holding it and to see if it's hard to determine if their eyes are open or closed, but I think they're just kind of standing on a thing. Although the ark isn't open, so
Yeah,
That's true.
they could just be kind of using it. There are lines later about if they march with it, then they're
Yeah.
But that's true. But there is lightning or power or whatever shooting from it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then again, it's God sanctioned.
right.
Right.
nobody's
Yeah,
melting though.
It's on the right. Well, it looks like there's one guy hiding behind a shield, so he was smart enough to know.
He saw Clash of the Titans.
Yeah,
I like the line about good God. Yes, that's just what the Hebrews thought. That's a fun
Right.
line.
yeah.
You expect to
Sure.
hear a rim shot there or something.
Yeah, Brody
They
is.
should have high-fived after that.
Yeah,
But as you
His
said
dad-
earlier, Tom, they can kind of get away with, what would maybe with either lesser actors or worse film, it would be like, oh, that's corny and stupid. But
Right,
for some
right.
reason, yeah, they can get away with it, like with Satipo, where he says, "If you insist, Senor."
Yeah. We're
When they
talking
don't
about
go
that
in
as
the-
just like a simple, easy, actually funny line that could have, could have been a different goofy line or could have been done goofily. But yeah, if you just handle it right and you got the right actors.
That reminds me, this does not have to do with this minute specifically, but surely you guys have some opinion on the rumor that Chris Pratt is going to be the new Indiana Jones.
Is that the latest rumor or is that?
Well, that is the latest rumor I heard anyway.
Because I thought. Oh no! Okay, I'm thinking about Harrison. Or now I'm doing it. I'm thinking about like the Han Solo movie. They were talking about like 3 other guys, but I don't know. As Chancellor Gorkin said in Star Trek VI, if there is to be a bold new world, our generation is going to have the hardest time living in it. I don't know if I can handle having anybody else being Han Solo or Indiana Jones, because I'm a cranky old man. But, I mean, if I had to have somebody, maybe Chris Pratt would be fine. I think he probably has a lot of the right qualities.
have they mentioned who might play Han Solo? And should it be the same guy?
It should be the same.
Oh yeah, it totally should be.
I don't know who any of the guys are. Like, I don't recognize them because I'm not.
Yeah, I don't either.
I'm not 20.
I just Googled Chris Pratt. I was like, I have no idea who this is. It's not Harrison Ford,
Yeah.
I think on the spectrum of good to bad, I think Chris Pratt would be pretty far to the good end of people they could choose.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly could be a lot worse.
Oh yeah. Yeah, basically I like him, but if you start to say is he Indiana Jones, I don't know.
Right.
But maybe. But aren't they? I thought the latest was that I thought Harrison Ford is in like the new one that they're talking about.
Well, but I mean, they'll inevitably reboot it at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just got tired. I just got tired.
So what
Just
about
what the Hebrews thought?
Exactly. Just put that arc down.
That's a good all-purpose line.
Right.
It's like, tell it to Country Club.
Exactly.
Right, tell that to the Hebrews.
I was thinking earlier I wanted to start working. Well, that should be worth at least the price of a ticket to Marrakesh.
That's funny. I said that I noted last week that I say that all the time, and it is never apropos of anything. It never fits into any kind of conversation. But I just love that line for some reason, and I use it all the time.
Yeah, I think I'm going to start working it in. Probably not on our show, but in general, in life.
I recommend it.
I also back to we were talking about him mispronouncing the mountain.
Right.
Mispronouncing the mountain.
That's your band.
Yeah. I like that Indy here says the well of the souls.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
noticed that too.
Right.
Because it sounds like he's kind of almost like the way Eaton said he's the nut for it or whatever.
Right.
It's like, oh yeah,
Mom, it's the well of souls.
the well of the souls.
You're embarrassing me.
Which that actually exists.
What, the Well of the Soul?
The actual
Really?
the Well of the Souls is under the Dome of the Rock.
A lot of prepositions and articles.
Do I gotta yank you into this one?
No, run with this.
Oh yeah, I mean I don't think it's tied into Raiders of the Lost Ark, but yeah, there is actually the Well of the Souls, and it's under the Dome of the Rock.
So is it in Tanis?
Oh, Tommy.
They said in the movie that it's in Tanis.
So
I'm wondering if it's in Tanis.
So do you think that if when they were in the well of the souls and they were kept, when they were poking around and they found that crypt and everything, that eventually there would have been a tunnel that went all the way to underneath the rock?
Exactly.
Filled with rats and fire and all sorts of traps and stuff along the way, so that
spiders and
Forest Hall. No,
the Dome of the Rock, of course, is the current location of the original resting place of the Ark of the Covenant.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now I'm getting confused.
Yeah, so when you said the Dome of the Rock, I thought I was thinking.
You're thinking of the wrestler.
Yeah.
His head. That's the Rock's
under
head.
his head.
The Dome of the Rock.
Because somebody said keep that under your hat, and then boom. No, I was thinking. What is that? Yellowstone? No. What's the Half Dome and the
Yosemite?
Yosemite. There we go.
There you go.
I can't even think of what I meant. Never mind what you were.
You just need
talking
something catchy. The Well of Souls, the Dome of the Rock.
I was going to say, what's the one that Captain Kirk was climbing? There you go.
El Capitan.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Ark of the Covenant said El Capitan.
I always get nervous in this scene because Indy starts drawing that picture so far to the right chalkboard, and I never think he's going to have enough room every time I watch it.
Oh, no, I'm always afraid his chalk is going to snap and he's going to, rake his fingernails on the chalkboard. He does it so fast and he's got so much chalk, and it just seems like it's ripe for a chalk accident.
Marcus is actually really, really proud of him at that moment.
Yeah.
It's
kind
of
the
an
exact same
interesting
note.
And that's, again, why the movie, why I think it's so good. That's the little subtle things. Like Indy, he basically, this whole scene was dudes interrupting each other. And Indy interrupts Marcus, too, at the explanation. And then he kind of, but Marcus is very generous with it. He's just like, I'm going to let him go do his thing. You know? And then he goes over to the chalkboard, and there's a little quick shot of Marcus, and he's like, oh, that's my boy.
Yeah. And, in the past weeks, we've been talking about, is Indy just a treasure of the Sierra Madre gold lust wacko, just going after stuff because he's got this gold lust in his heart? Or is he an interested historian who's actually into this stuff and he's got, positive motives and stuff? And watching Marcus, sort of enjoy Indy's excitement about this, you're like, oh, Indy's a big kid. He loves this stuff. He's actually deeply, emotionally invested in how cool this stuff is. And if he could go and actually see the Staff of Ra, he'd be the happiest kid in the world.
Yeah.
And plus, Indy was probably bummed out after the whole losing the idol to Belloc.
Yeah.
So maybe Marcus is like, good, he's getting back on the horse. And,
Now I can fly to Marrakesh and get that idol from Belloc like I arranged.
This would be a nice diversion.
It'd be great if he totally was like, I bet Abner Ravenwood's I bet he's in Marrakesh. We should go run an expedition to Marrakesh. Just use these government stooges just as an excuse to track down the idol.
I also really just noticed it here, and I really like that when he's done drawing that drawing, Indy seems to put the chalk in his pocket.
Yeah, everybody's pocketing stuff in this movie.
I'm assuming that if you're a professor, you would probably just want to have chalk around all the time,
Yeah.
But I hadn't noticed that before, so I'm all like, oh, he just pockets the chalk after that.
Yeah.
It would be great if the one later on when they showed Indy's house, there was 300 piles of chalk all around the room, like he's hoarding all the chalk.
Every night when he gets home, he gets change out of one pocket and all the chalk out of the other pocket.
Right.
He shakes
Piles it up.
He's got a jar of chalk.
It's for his side job as a gymnast. He's a
Yeah. He sells it back to the school.
Yeah.
To the gym.
Or he's an expert on the occult. Maybe that's all hopscotch.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some wacko things,
He's going to use it to draw a protective pentagram later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an episode. That's in the 5th one.
Right.
Now Disney. has
Indiana
divided
Jones
from us.
versus the devil.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the Rocky IV of Indiana Jones movies.
Indiana Jones goes to hell.
Indiana Jones and hell.
And the hell.
The well of hell.
I have a question for our guests. We just talked about this, but do you think what you know about Indiana Jones and the movies and that sort of thing, he does appear to be pretty not money grubbing, but greedy. He's definitely focused, and especially at the first, 15 minutes at least, he's very driven. He's almost like gold driven.
I think he's just. I think he's more of a I imagine. It's not so much greed as the wanting to just complete the job. It's.
Yeah.
I think it's like hunting. Once he gets the thing, he's just like, oh, here, put it in a museum. I don't care about it anymore. Although I guess he's an archaeologist, so you think he'd want to study the stuff too.
But I think you said it well. That's the problem that I think I've had with it a little bit. Is you're like, well, what's he do? He's putting it in the museum. And then exactly, you're like, well, he's not studying it, or they're not really.
Well, the museum is probably studying it. He wants to get it into the, the quote unquote right hands, meaning somebody who's not just,
top men should be studying it.
Yeah, he needs to find some top men in a huge room where they can study this thing forever.
I think, once he's like, oh, here's my mission. Here's what I'm going to be. I'm going to be retrieving this idol. Then that's all he cares about. Everybody else can, go to hell in part 5. But
yeah, exactly.
In the meantime, I can, I'm just solely focused on getting the idol, and it's.
And he got it. It was in his hand, and it was snatched from him.
Exactly.
So he's burning about that.
Although you do make a good point. They in the beginning of the movie, they find this ancient temple or whatever it is. And the only thing he cares about is the idol. He doesn't look at any of the carvings on the wall or the fact that this pre-Columbian civilization built these elaborate, complicated traps and stuff. He's just all I care about is the idol.
And the whole temple is now destroyed.
Yeah.
And the fact, and we talked about this a little bit, but the Jovitos are still there. You're like...
Yeah, but we were having this debate that, Jer's worried that the Jovitos, that was actually their temple and their god and stuff, but I'm sort of saying I think they just lived near it and never went in there because it was spooky, and the bowing that they do with Belloc is Belloc having told them, hey, there's a guy with a hat and a whip and he's going to steal this thing and it'll bring doom to your tribe and stuff, so you better start caring about it and go get him for me and stuff. But
it'd be interesting to see a take kind of not to keep bringing it back to Star Trek, but the
why not
Into Darkness, the beginning of that. So have after the beginning scene of this movie, then cut to a bunch of Jovitos who now worship Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a good sign that out of the 3 like sacred temples Indy goes into, 2 of them wind up totally trashed and ruined for all future excavation.
Yeah, and in his class just before this, he was talking about like, people hear about a golden coffin and they come and they wreck the whole place, and it's really lousy, and you can't study the thing anymore except for Chamber 3, which is undisturbed.
Yeah, he literally says that seconds after, he destroys the pre-Columbian temple.
Yeah.
And the only part of the temple he's interested in is probably the least interesting from an archaeological standpoint. Like,
yeah, right.
You've got this culture that's developed these incredible technological booby traps.
Yeah, like these photosensitive traps.
Right.
See, I think it was Thursday, and nothing really happens at the temples on, It's not Sunday. It's not like a Wednesday Bible study thing or whatever. It's Thursday, and the Jovitos just aren't there. That's their house of worship, but they just aren't there.
It's a sad commentary on the decline of religion in the Jovito culture that no one was there to.
And now it's hopeless. Yeah. The temple's gone.
Or maybe this is the rallying call. There's a Jovito politician who's going to use that to be like, look, see, they just walked right in here and they were able to just, steal our idol and ruin our temple because we don't care anymore. And
then someday Chris Pratt will go back there and the Jovitos will have nuclear weapons and
right.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's in much the same way that God punished the Pharaoh by burying Tunis. God uses Indiana Jones as an instrument of his wrath. So, like the Jovito's temple was destroyed, and then they destroyed the other temple. And he just goes around,
it's the will of the Force,
wrecking stuff.
Yep.
Now, there's a sandstorm coming to Marshall College.
It's the bullwhip of God.
I like it.
Or is it like at the end of the Lord of the Rings, the scourge of the scouring of the Shire? It's like the scouring of the Indiana comes back to his and he finds it's overrun by Nazis and so on. Again, mixing universes, but
right.
Hey,
Solo was in later Lord of the Rings, so counts.
See, it's all canon.
Well, speaking of mixing universes, one thing I like that you guys do on your show, and I'd be curious on your thoughts, is you often ask your guests to rank the Star Wars movies, and how would you two rank the Indiana Jones movies?
Pretty much release order for me.
I think I'm the same way.
I know, I understand that it's got shortcomings, but for the same reason that I like The Phantom Menace the best out of all the prequels, I like Last Crusade second best. I like Raiders, then Last Crusade, and then Temple of Doom, and then presumably the Crystal Skull. I only saw it the once, and I'll go back and check it out, I'm sure. But
yeah. We'll have you back in 4 years.
But I would rather be kind of goofy, and if it's not going to be great, I'd rather have it be goofy and not great than kind of dark and not great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. Last Crusade is probably technically a better movie, but there's something about Temple of Doom to me that feels a little more authentically Indiana Jones. And maybe that's just because I was younger, or it's closer to Raiders, or chronologically, or I don't know. But yeah, it's tough for me. Life is tough for me as a Star Wars fan and as an Indiana Jones fan. Well, yeah, I think I'd probably go in just release order. That works for me.
Although I think Last Crusade does have some really good stuff in him.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
I just had to stop myself from turning this into just a Last Crusade, quote, appreciation fest, whatever.
Right.
Well, if you'd like to come back, yeah.
Yeah, if you guys make it to Last Crusade, I'll definitely come back.
Awesome.
If you were interested in coming back for Temple of Doom, are there minutes you guys would be interested in?
That's a good question.
I think we should go for more talky scenes.
Well, first thing I thought of was the whole dinner scene with the monkey brains and
that's half a talkie scene.
Snake, and
they're trying to have a conversation at one end of the table.
Yeah,
and there's monkey brains at the other.
That or maybe even the beginning, the scene,
the musical number
with
Club Obi-Wan.
Yeah, but before the musical number when they're when he's
Write that down, Pete. Club Obi-Wan.
Well, there is no
Fever Dream. Carbonite.
it opens with a musical number. There's no before the musical number.
all right. Okay,
Oh,
but
that's true.
before Billy becomes a character,
I might.
Willie, whatever her name is.
Like it matters. Well, all right. Well, guys, this has been awesome. Thank you so much for joining us this week.
That was a blast.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. And again, we encourage everybody to check out your show if they haven't already. In my head, I always assume that whatever audience we have is made up completely of Star Wars Minute listeners already. But because in my mind, the two fandoms are completely equal.
Well, you never know. People might be listening to this, 3 or 4 years from now when your show's popular and a big hit in its own right. And
That's true.
yeah,
And we're washed up has-beens.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. They're saying Chris Pratt was going to get Tom Selleck's job? That's crazy.
But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Thanks for having us.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime. And maybe we'll see you for Temple of Doom in a year or so. Pete, how can all the nice people who may or may not be listening to us for various reasons get in touch with us?
You can subscribe on iTunes. You can find us at IndianaJonesMinute.com and look us up on Facebook. And just as importantly, look up our two guests today on Facebook or at StarWarsMinute.com. They're fantastic.
They are, and they helped us understand Raiders of the Lost Ark this week. And we will be back next week with more of Raiders of the Lost Ark right here on the Indiana Jones Minute.
Indiana Jones Minute.
Star Wars Minute.